It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good afternoon guys. How is going? 12:15 p.m. CET, Piotr here, and this is a crypto market update only here, Light Forex Global YouTube channel, guys. We haven't actually go through the crypto for quite some time, so it's time to make necessary updates. Actually, when we are talking about the Bitcoin, yeah, we are in a consolidation. When we are talking about the Ethereum, yeah, bears are controlling the market. Anyway, that's what we are going to discuss today. Let's start with a quick risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind, trading crypto on margin call is a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors, can sustain some more initial investment, so please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Okay, just a friendly reminder, as I mentioned yesterday, I already moved to my new place, already got my fast internet connection, so ready to go. And when we are talking about the FX market, when we are talking about the Forex market, I'm going to cover live today's Canadian retail sales, so you are more than welcome to join me within the next 2 hours, 2:15 p.m. CET, as you can see below the Bitcoin chart. So we are going to watch Canadian dollar and price action after Canadian retail sales. Okay, guys, that's the weekly chart of the Bitcoin versus US dollar. Okay, the thing is that the breakdown which happened 5 weeks ago, if you remember our last meeting, this breakdown, right, actually was expected. Okay, so if you remember, there was I had some kind of the trading plan based on that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I've been expecting. Anyway, the breakdown was expected, but also, if you remember, I've mentioned that I would like to see breakdown and quick recovery, right? So instead of making this big black candle, right, I've been looking for a lower shadow and close above 9,500. Unfortunately, it didn't materialize, right? So we saw the breakdown, but we haven't seen the recovery. At least we haven't seen yet. So this bullish setup, this bullish plan failed. But I think we are still doing quite well when we are talking about the bulls. There is a still opportunity based on the possible supply, possible demand zones. We do have, after the base rally, we do have strong possible demand on the weekly chart right here, right now. Of course, we are testing, we are penetrating that demand, as you can see right now, right here, okay? But the good thing is that we are still holding the bottom of that consolidation, right? 2 weeks ago, there was an attempt to go higher. 2 weeks ago there was an attempt to go higher. We failed with upper shadow with the retest of 8,800. Most likely it was in relation to the bottom of that candle, right? From the week in the mid of June, the breakout candle here, right? So we failed at the bottom of that candle. So from the weekly chart perspective, that's also the 50% of that breakdown candle, all right? So from the weekly chart perspective, we have to try to get back as soon as we can above this zone. So we have to get back as soon as we can above 9,500, right? So this 9,500 is a key again. Now, when we are talking about the latest consolidation, okay, is around $1,000 wide. It's like 7,700, 7,800, right? And to the upside, it's like 8,700, 8,750. So in case of the break to the upside, at least we got the chance to make move similar in size to the consolidation phase. Okay, so in that case, we are talking about the $1,000 to the upside. So it's easily can be translated into the retest of 9,500, right? And closing above, even better, closing above the psychological 10K would probably bring new money into the market, and that may provide hi MHB, hi, how you doing? That could provide them opportunity to see the further ride. Also, the important thing when we are talking about the bottom of this consolidation, also the important thing is this upper shadow ahead of this big breakdown through the 6,000, right? So as you can see, if we are going to extend that, so that's what we are talking. About in that case, right? So looks like the 7,500 is extremely important. Hi MHB. Well, it was yesterday. It's going to be today. We are going to cover the Canadian, and there was a little bit of the break because I've been moving, right? I've been moving from one country to another country, so everything is going back to normal, most probably. Especially when it comes to the afternoon meetings, there are gonna be some changes into the morning meetings, and as I mentioned before, we are introducing new things, so it's going to be even more interesting in my opinion. So please stay with us, stay tuned. Anyway, let's get back to this Bitcoin chart. So that's how it looks from the weekly chart perspective. As long as we are above 7,500, 7,400, I think bulls are good to go a little bit higher. At least we should see the retest of 9,000 now, 9,500 again. So let's have a look how it looks from the daily chart perspective. And this is this consolidation phase, and it looks for me a little bit different to what we discussed a second ago, based on the weekly chart. I think we might see one more attempt to go lower. There is, it's a little bit different with crypto market, mostly because of number of exchanges, right? So different exchanges got the different levels, and stuff like this. So here one can argue that, okay, we already had this tiny stop count over here, right? And it might be the case, but because of this failure, I think one more time, especially to retest this consolidation ahead of the breakout, right? %. That might be the case, right? So I would be very careful when we are talking about the sizes. I like longs, but I do understand one more time, a little bit lower, some kind of the stop count is still possible, all right? Is still possible. So it looks also here from the daily chart perspective also looks good, but what we have to understand here that a little bit more stop count might be the case here. Anyway, the same like on the weekly, I like what I see from the bullish perspective here on the Bitcoin chart. So let's switch to the intraday. Let's switch to the 4-hour chart. And this attempt to go higher, right? The failure around 8,700, 8,800, right? It was supposed to hold what they were trying to hold for the very first time. Right, so after the failure, they were trying to hold this 50%, but then they failed, and that's one of the reasons I still think one more downside here in case of the rally, of course. One more downside here is still possible. I wouldn't say necessary, but still possible. So watching out very, very carefully. Anyway. From that perspective, I'm going to try very, very tiny longs based on this possible type of the move, right? So I want to see retest of that consolidation, right? We broke to the upside, so either it's going to be around 8,100 or half of that consolidation, so it's gonna be 8,000. So I'm looking to go long around 8,100, 8,000 with the stop below 7,920. All right, and I do understand if I'm going to be stopped out that we might see move lower, and around 7,500 I may look for one more opportunity to try to go long. Of course, daily close, especially 2 consecutive daily close below that consolidation, all right, below 7,500 is going to add into the bearish view. So be careful with the Bitcoin. That's how I see from the intraday perspective, a little bit more to the downside possible, right? So somewhere around 8,100, 8,000 with the stop below 7,920, of course based on this chart on the feed from the light Forex. Okay, so that's how I see the things on the Bitcoin versus dollar. A little bit different on the Ethereum. It's yeah, unfortunately I have to say that clearly it's bearish for me, at least as long as we are below 200. Looks like 185 and 200, that's where the bears trying to line up with their sell orders. So yeah, that's gonna be challenge, That's gonna be challenge. From that weekly chart perspective, the bad thing is that we got back below this weekly 215 line, right? And 5 weeks ago there was a retest upper shadow sell-off, right? So 200, 215, that's what I'm talking about. To see bulls in action, we have to get back on the weekly chart above 200, 215. Of course, the good thing is that we are still trying to hold some levels. So after the failure, there was a sell-off limited, right? To 150, 140. That's also 50% of that one, right? So yeah, some kind of the consolidation going on, very similar to what we have on the Bitcoin. Okay, but you know, on the Bitcoin side, I do expect upside break. Unfortunately, here on Ethereum, well, it might happen that we might see market want to revisit 100 or even 80, right? So the latest, the most recent low, not most recent, the low after this huge sell-off, right? So this one cannot be ruled out. So I would be very, very careful with Ethereum right here, right now, from the weekly chart, perspective. So let's have a look what we have on a daily chart. And the failure here, that's my big concern. The failure here, because right now the range from that particular day, right, it was 19th of September. The range from that whole day works as supply, and mid of that range is this 215, 212 from the weekly chart. So from that perspective, as you can see, even 1-1 from here is bringing us towards the supply level on the daily chart. And to be honest with you, why I'm looking to buy on the Bitcoin, as long as we are below this zone and below this weekly line, the blue one, I do expect Ethereum to revisit the lower levels. All right, so that's my supply line, that's my selling level, right? And that's gonna be my stop above 230. And in case of the upside break, what I would like to see, I would like to see this type of the movement breakout, right? Probably we are going to see some selling activity around 260. All right, then I would like to see some kind of the triangle going on, but still above 230. So 1, 2, right, and then some 3, like this, right, pull back, maybe with some tiny stop hunt, and then another wave higher, right? So that's what I would love to see on Ethereum, but it's probably going to take time, and it may follow after some strong Bitcoin break to the upside. So we might see again for quite some time Bitcoin going higher, bloodbath on the outside, right? But then some kind of destabilization, consolidation on the Bitcoin on higher levels, let's say above 12k maybe, and then alts going higher. If you remember, we were discussing the things that taking into the consideration what happened with previous Bitcoin halving, we might see altcoins rally after the halving, right? Also, in relation to the Bitcoin, please go through, check the comparison, what happened with Litecoin ahead of the halving, half year, 6 months ahead, and what I do expect is going to happen with Bitcoin as well. And we are approaching this time quickly, so somewhere late November, December, we should see this type of the activity, guys. It was my pleasure to make this update for you, crypto market update. We discussed Bitcoin versus USD and Ethereum versus USD. With next one, we will try to discuss maybe a few more cryptos like Litecoin, like Ripple, maybe, if you are going to be interested. Just let me know. Please leave the comment. What would you like to discuss next time? I'm talking about the charts, crypto charts, and I will follow. Again, 2:15 p.m. CET in relation to the FX market. I'm going to cover live Canadian retail sales. It was my pleasure again. See you around, guys. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.